In October 1972, a calamitous event occurred that would forever be remembered as a profound testament to human endurance and resilience. A Uruguayan Air Force plane, chartered by a rugby team along with their friends and family, was on its way to Chile for a match. In total, 45 people were on board when the plane met with disaster, crashing into the remote, harsh terrain of the Andes Mountains, near the border between Argentina and Chile. The crash site presented a nightmarish scenario. The aircraft had come down in an area known for its extreme conditions. High altitude, where the air was thin and oxygen levels were low, and frigid temperatures that plummeted further as night fell. The survivors, amidst the twisted wreckage of the plane, faced a dire situation. Their initial supplies were pitifully inadequate. A few chocolate bars, several bottles of wine, and other small provisions, nowhere near enough to sustain them for an extended period. Compounding their isolation, the white fuselage of the plane was camouflaged against the snow, rendering it invisible to search and rescue efforts. The survivors' hope for a quick rescue was shattered when they, using a small transistor radio found in the wreckage, heard that the search operations had been called off. The realization that they were on their own in this frozen wilderness was a crushing blow. As days stretched into weeks, the situation grew increasingly desperate. Their meager food supplies quickly depleted, leading them to a horrifying decision: whether to consume the flesh of their deceased fellow passengers or succumb to starvation. This decision, born from a primal instinct for survival, remains one of the most chilling and controversial aspects of their ordeal. In spite of these grim conditions, the indomitable spirit of the survivors was not quenched. After more than 2 months enduring the brutal conditions of the Andes, 2 of the survivors, Nando Parado and Roberto Canessa, made a bold decision. They embarked on a perilous journey across the mountains to find help. This decision was fraught with danger, requiring them to navigate through treacherous terrain, combat severe hunger and cold, and endure the debilitating effects of altitude sickness. Their trek was an arduous one, testing the limits of human endurance. After several grueling days, they finally encountered a Chilean shepherd. This chance meeting proved to be the turning point in their harrowing saga. It led to the relay of information that would eventually bring about their rescue. On December 23, 1972, after 72 days since the crash, the remaining survivors were finally rescued. Their story, marked by incredible courage, the will to survive, and the capacity to make unimaginable decisions in the face of dire circumstances, has since become an iconic narrative of human survival against seemingly insurmountable odds. The ordeal of the Andes survivors continues to stand as a powerful reminder of the resilience and strength of the human spirit. In the tranquil rural landscape of Bavaria, Germany, during the early 1920s, a perplexing and horrifying crime occurred at a secluded farmstead known as Hinterkaifeck. This unsolved case remains one of the most disturbing chapters in the annals of true crime. The Gruber family, who lived at Hinterkaifeck, comprised Andreas Gruber, his wife Kazilia, their widowed daughter Victoria, and her 2 young children, Kazilia and Joseph. A maid also resided with them, having recently joined the household following the departure of the previous maid, who had left due to fears the house was haunted. In the lead-up to the tragedy, Andreas Gruber had shared a curious and unsettling discovery with his neighbors. He'd have found a set of mysterious footprints in the snow, leading from the forest edge to his farm, but none leading back. This ominous sign was soon followed by other strange occurrences. The family reported hearing unexplained footsteps in the attic and finding an unfamiliar newspaper on their property. These eerie events were alarming enough to cause significant concern among the family members. Despite these foreboding indicators, the Grubers chose to remain at their farm. This decision led to a night of unspeakable horror. An unidentified assailant brutally murdered all 6 inhabitants of the farm with a pickaxe. The crime scene was ghastly, with each family member found bludgeoned, their bodies exhibiting severe and fatal injuries. The subsequent investigation only deepened the enigma surrounding the Hinterkaifeck murders. In a chilling revelation, authorities discovered that the perpetrator had stayed at the farm for several days after the murders. Evidence suggested that the killer had tended to the cattle and availed themselves of the family's food, all while the victims' bodies were still within the house. Despite extensive police investigations, the case proved to be a complex puzzle. Numerous individuals were questioned, but no arrests were made, and no charges were filed. The motive behind the murders remained a mystery, as nothing of significant value was taken from the farm. This fact, coupled with the lack of forced entry, led authorities to speculate that the killer might have been someone familiar to the family. The Hinterkaifeck murders have since become a symbol of one of the most chilling and mysterious criminal cases in German history. A year after the murders, the farm was demolished, yet the case remains unsolved. The identity of the murderer and their motivations are still concealed by the passage of time, leaving behind a haunting legacy that continues to captivate and disturb. In January 1959, a tragedy unfolded in the Ural Mountains that would perplex the world for decades. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass incident, named after Igor Dyatlov, the leader of a group of 9 experienced Soviet hikers from the Ural Polytechnical Institute. Their mission was to trek through the northern Urals to reach Otorten Mountain, a journey anticipated to be demanding but within their seasoned abilities. The group was well prepared for the harsh conditions of a Soviet winter. They set out, filled with enthusiasm and camaraderie, but what was supposed to be a challenging adventure turned into a horrifying mystery. Concerns arose when they failed to send a scheduled telegraph message to their sports club. This delay prompted a search operation, which led to a grim and baffling discovery. Rescuers found the group's tent on the slopes of Koletsakel, ominously named Dead Mountain in the local Mansi language. The tent was in tatters, peculiarly slashed open from the inside, as if the group had been fleeing in panic. Near the campsite, under a sparse cover of snow, lay the first 2 bodies, both barefoot and scantily clad, as if they had left the tent in a hurry. As the search expanded, the remaining hikers were found scattered at various distances from the tent. The positioning of their bodies suggested a desperate attempt to return to their shelter. The autopsies deepened the enigma. There were no clear signs of external injuries or struggle on most bodies. However, several exhibited severe internal traumas, akin to high-impact crashes, and one of the women was found with her tongue and eyes missing. Adding to the mystery, some items of clothing on the bodies were found to contain unusually high levels of radiation. The perplexing circumstances of their deaths gave rise to numerous theories, from an avalanche to theories involving military experiments, attacks by local tribes, or even extraterrestrial activity. The Soviet investigation eventually concluded that the hikers died due to an unknown compelling force, a vague explanation that only intensified the mystery. To this day, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most enigmatic events in the history of outdoor expeditions. The lack of definitive answers and the strange circumstances surrounding the deaths of these 9 hikers continue to stir fascination and horror, making it a haunting narrative of the unknown and unexplained. Perched amidst the stunning Rocky Mountains of Colorado, the Stanley Hotel stands as a beacon of historical grandeur and eerie mystery. Opening its doors in 1909, thanks to the vision of F.O. Stanley, the inventor of the Stanley Steamer automobile, this hotel quickly became a luxurious escape for the elite. However, it is its ghostly residents and paranormal happenings that have etched the Stanley Hotel into the annals of supernatural folklore, even inspiring Stephen King's bone-chilling novel, The Shining. The Stanley Hotel's architecture and scenic location are undeniably captivating, but it's the tales of its otherworldly occupants that truly make it stand out. F.O. Stanley, the hotel's founder, is said to still roam its halls. He is most often sighted in the lobby, maintaining a watchful eye over the goings-on of the hotel, and in the billiards room, where he used to enjoy spending his time. Guests and staff have frequently reported seeing his apparition in these areas, a gentle reminder of the hotel's storied past. Flora Stanley, Ufo Stanley's wife, also seems to have an everlasting presence in the hotel. Known for her love of music, she is often heard playing the piano in the hotel's grand ballroom. Guests and employees alike have recounted hearing beautiful piano music echoing through the ballroom, only to find no one seated at the piano upon investigation. This mysterious melody adds a hauntingly beautiful aspect to the hotel's ambience. Room 217 holds a special place in the lore of the Stanley Hotel. It was here that Stephen King spent a night, inspiring the setting for The Shining. This room is notorious for strange occurrences, personal items being moved, lights flickering on and off without explanation, and eerie shadows dancing across the walls. The legend of Room 217 is intertwined with a tragic incident involving a housekeeper who was injured in an explosion during the hotel's early years. This room is often at the center of ghostly tales told by guests who've braved a night within its walls. The spirit of this housekeeper, known as Mrs. Wilson, is said to linger particularly in Room 217. She reportedly takes her housekeeping duties seriously, even from beyond the grave. Guests have reported finding their belongings neatly packed or unpacked, an unusual occurrence attributed to Mrs. Wilson's diligent care. Some male guests have even found their belongings packed and placed by the door, a sign taken to mean that Mrs. Wilson disapproves of unmarried couples sharing the room. The fourth floor, which once housed the servants, is renowned for a different type of haunting. Here, the laughter and footsteps of ghostly children echo through the hallways. These playful spirits, perhaps former residents of the servants' quarters, add an eerie yet innocent presence to the hotel. There are also tales of a spectral pet, often felt rather than seen, brushing against the legs of unsuspecting guests as it passes by. Despite, or perhaps because of, these spectral stories, the Stanley Hotel remains a sought-after destination. For those seeking luxury tinged with the thrill of the paranormal, it offers an experience like no other. The hotel's place in ghost lore has attracted both skeptics and believers, ghost hunters, and those simply curious about its haunted history. Whether these stories are manifestations of the supernatural or merely captivating tales woven into the fabric of the hotel's rich history, they undoubtedly contribute to the mystique and allure of the Stanley Hotel, making it a legendary landmark in the world of ghostly phenomena.